Hi, I'm John, your host, and welcome to Heart of Care, a podcast by ANCU. Here, we delve into the real voices of healthcare, sharing stories of resilience, humanity, and the unwavering heart that drives it all. Join us as we empathize, learn, support, and even find moments to laugh together. Thanks for being here.
Heart of Care, Episode 8, We Own Your Money.
Hi everyone, I'm John, and welcome back to Heart of Care. In this episode, we're diving deep into a topic that affects each and every one of us, often in ways we don't even realize: our financial freedom. Have you ever had that unsettling feeling that your bank account isn't truly yours? That accessing your own hard-earned money requires permission, demands a detailed explanation, or even hinges on someone else's approval? If so, you are absolutely not alone. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the increasingly pervasive layers of financial surveillance right here in Australia. We'll explore how the very systems designed, ostensibly, to protect us from harm may also be subtly yet powerfully controlling our financial lives. It's a crucial conversation, and I'm ready to get into it, so let's dive in. And welcome our co-host, Laura.
Thank you, John. Let's get this started. Disclaimer. Before we go any further, a quick but important disclaimer. The content of this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It does not and cannot constitute financial advice. We strongly encourage you to consult a qualified financial advisor before making any financial decisions that impact your personal circumstances. Intro story. Let me introduce you to Sarah, a 52-year-old dedicated nurse from Sydney. After years of tireless work, saving diligently and dreaming, she finally booked a long-awaited trip to visit her beloved family in Greece. It was a trip of a lifetime for her. A mere week before her flight, Sarah went to her bank, intending to withdraw $8,000 from her savings account, some cash for her expenses during the trip, and a portion to leave with her elderly mother for any needs that might arise while she was away. But what should have been a routine transaction turned into a bewildering ordeal. At the teller, instead of simply handing over her money, the bank staff began asking a series of intrusive questions. Why this specific amount? What will this cash be used for? Can we see your travel itinerary, please? Sarah was taken aback. She explained her reasons, provided details about her trip, but the questions persisted. Then came the chilling news. Her withdrawal was delayed. She was told it needed to be reviewed and approved by a supervisor, implying a level of scrutiny usually reserved for suspicious activities. Sarah was stunned, her privacy invaded, her autonomy challenged. She wasn't committing a crime. She was simply trying to access her own money she had earned through years of dedicated service. And tragically, Sarah's experience is not an isolated incident. Her story echoes countless others across Australia. Today, we're going to dissect this growing issue: how financial institutions are increasingly treating everyday, law-abiding people like suspects. We'll explore the subtle yet significant shift we are witnessing across all forms of currency, from physical cash to digital banking, and even the emerging world of cryptocurrency. It's a shift from inherent ownership to conditional permission, from expected privacy to pervasive control.
Segment 1. They say it's about safety, but it's really about control. The feeling of losing control over our own finances is becoming an unsettlingly familiar reality for many Australians. Think about it. When you deposit your hard-earned money into a bank, you're not just storing it in a safe place. In a fundamental sense, you're surrendering a degree of immediate control over it. Consider these scenarios. Attempt to withdraw a larger sum than usual? You're no longer simply making a transaction. You're often subjected to a polite yet firm interrogation. Questions about the purpose of the funds, your intentions, and sometimes even requests for documentation that you never imagined would be necessary for your own money. Try to buy something significant or outside your usual spending habits, even online? Your transaction might be flagged, potentially delayed, or even outright blocked by automated systems designed to detect unusual activity. This can be anything from purchasing a new boat to sending money to a family member overseas for a genuine reason. Banks and financial regulators frequently justify this heightened scrutiny by stating it's to protect you from scams, fraud, and illicit financial activities like money laundering or terrorism financing. And to be clear, in some specific legitimate contexts, these protections are absolutely necessary and can prevent real harm. However, what we're increasingly seeing is this rationale being used as a broad, almost indiscriminate blanket excuse for preemptive control. It's a shift from targeted risk management to a widespread assumption of potential wrongdoing. The argument often becomes, we're protecting you from yourself or from bad actors by simply controlling how you access your money. But where does the line between protection and pervasive control truly lie?
Segment 2. Your bank is not just a bank. It's a surveillance hub. This might sound stark, but it's the uncomfortable truth of modern banking. Your bank is operating far beyond being a mere repository for your funds. It has evolved into a sophisticated surveillance hub, meticulously tracking every single financial movement you make. Every transaction you execute, whether it's a small tap and go for your morning coffee, a large bill payment, or an international transfer, is subjected to an intricate process. Logged by your bank, every single detail is recorded, time-stamped, and associated with your profile. Analyzed by sophisticated algorithms, these algorithms are constantly sifting through vast amounts of data, looking for patterns, anomalies, and deviations from your typical financial behavior. They're designed to identify anything that might be deemed suspicious. Assessed for risk. Based on these algorithmic analyses, your transactions are assigned a risk score. This score can influence how future transactions are treated, potentially leading to flags, delays, or even blocks. Shared with regulators. This is a critical point. Banks are legally obliged to report suspicious transactions, and increasingly, even routine transactions, to regulatory bodies like AUSTRAS, the Australian Transaction Reports and Analysis Centre, and the Australian Tax Office, ATO. This isn't just about catching criminals. It's about a continuous flow of your personal financial data to government agencies. The crucial takeaway here is that even if you have done nothing wrong, even if you are a completely law-abiding citizen with legitimate financial activities, your data is still being constantly scanned, stored, and shared. You, as the account holder, have no say in this. You never explicitly opted in to this level of pervasive monitoring when you opened your bank account. This isn't merely about regulatory compliance. It's a systemic implementation of financial surveillance where your privacy is a secondary consideration to the perceived need for oversight.
Segment 3. The War on Cash, a War on Autonomy. For generations, cash represented true financial freedom. It was the ultimate form of anonymous transaction. No ID required, no approval needed, and crucially, no digital trail to be tracked or logged. When you spent cash, that transaction was private between you and the vendor. However, we are witnessing a systematic and deliberate effort to diminish the role of physical cash in our economy. Consider the trends. ATMs are rapidly disappearing from our streets and shopping centers. This makes it harder and less convenient to access physical money. Large cash withdrawals are no longer a simple matter. As Sarah's story illustrates, they are often scrutinized, requiring explanations, and sometimes even subject to internal bank approval processes. Businesses are being actively pushed, and sometimes incentivized, to go digital only. Many cafes, restaurants, and retail outlets now proudly display card-only signs, making it increasingly difficult to use cash even for small purchases. We are consistently being told that cash is risky, that it's outdated, that it's somehow inconvenient, or even that it's inherently criminal, often associated with the black economy. While there are legitimate concerns about illicit activities using cash, the narrative often oversimplifies the issue. For many, cash remains the only truly private financial option, a way to maintain some level of financial dignity and discretion. The systematic dismantling of cash infrastructure and the creation of social pressure against its use is, for many, a war on personal financial autonomy.
Segment 4. Crypto equals independence, and that's the problem. The emergence of cryptocurrencies offered a tantalizing vision of a decentralized financial system, one that promised true autonomy and freedom from the traditional banking system's control. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other digital assets were designed to be peer-to-peer, bypassing the need for intermediaries like banks. This very independence, however, presents a significant challenge to the established financial order. From the perspective of traditional institutions and regulators, anything that operates outside their direct oversight and control is perceived as a threat. Consequently, many Australian banks are now actively blocking or severely limiting transactions to and from cryptocurrency exchanges. This can make it incredibly difficult for individuals to buy or sell crypto using their traditional bank accounts. Labeling legitimate cryptocurrency exchanges as high-risk entities. This classification can trigger additional scrutiny, reporting requirements, and even lead to account freezes or closures for customers dealing with these platforms. Scrutinizing withdrawals to self-custody wallets. If you move your crypto off an exchange and into a personal wallet where you hold the keys, your bank might still flag the transaction, questioning your intentions or the source of funds. Again, the official justification is almost always consumer protection or anti-money laundering. And while due diligence is important, the consistent pattern is clear. Any financial system or asset that offers a genuine path to operating outside the immediate purview of traditional financial institutions is being met with resistance, restrictions, and often systematic stifling. This is about maintaining control over the flow of money, irrespective of the underlying intention of the transaction.
Segment 5. You don't own your money, you rent it. This segment title might sound provocative, but it encapsulates the grim reality of our modern financial landscape. If your money exists within the traditional banking system, that is, if it's held in a bank account, invested through a managed fund, or digitally transferred, it operates under a set of conditions that are often unstated and certainly not negotiated with you. Consider this. Monitored. As discussed, every transaction is under constant algorithmic and human scrutiny. Flagged. Any deviation from what the system deems normal can result in your account or transactions being flagged for review. Blocked. A flagged transaction can be summarily blocked without your prior consent or even immediate notification. Frozen. In more severe cases, or if deemed highly suspicious, your entire account can be frozen, rendering your funds inaccessible, often with little to no explanation initially provided. This means that control over your wealth is no longer an absolute guarantee. It has effectively become a conditional privilege. You are allowed to use your money, to transact with it, as long as your activities conform to the parameters set by the financial institutions and the regulatory bodies they serve. It's akin to renting your money back from the system that holds it. You can use it, but they retain ultimate authority over its movement and accessibility.
Segment 6. What can you do? This sounds like a daunting situation, and it can be, but let me be clear. You are not powerless. While the systems in place are vast and complex, there are practical steps you can take to assert your rights, protect your financial autonomy, and advocate for greater transparency and fairness. Here are some actionable steps you can take. Know your rights. This is your first and most crucial line of defense. Take the time to read and understand the Banking Code of Practice. This document outlines the standards of practice and service that banks must meet when dealing with their customers. Knowing its contents empowers you to understand what your bank can and cannot legally and ethically do when it comes to your money. Talk to your bank and document everything. If you encounter an issue, a blocked transaction, a delayed withdrawal, or intrusive questioning, engage directly with your bank. Use their internal complaints process. Crucially, document every single interaction. Note down the date, time, the name of the person you spoke to, what was discussed, and any reference numbers provided. This meticulous record-keeping will be invaluable if you need to escalate your complaint. Escalate within the bank. If your initial attempts to resolve the issue with frontline staff are unsuccessful, don't give up. Politely but firmly ask for your case to be reviewed by a manager or a dedicated complaints resolution team within the bank. Often, higher-level staff have more discretion or a better understanding of complex cases. Contact AFCA. If your complaint remains unresolved after exhausting the bank's internal complaints process, your next step is to lodge a complaint with the Australian Financial Complaints Authority, AFCA. AFCA is an independent external dispute resolution scheme, one for financial services. They can investigate your complaint and make binding decisions that your bank must adhere to. This is a powerful tool available to consumers. Report to ASIC. If you suspect that your bank is engaging in systemic misconduct, breaching consumer laws, or acting unethically in a widespread manner, consider reporting your concerns to the Australian Securities and Investments Commission. ASIC is Australia's corporate, markets, financial services, and consumer credit regulator. While they generally don't resolve individual disputes, they can take action against institutions if they identify patterns of noncompliance. Speak up and share your experience. Silence empowers the status quo. If you've had a negative experience, share your story. Talk to friends, family, online communities, or even local media. Raising awareness is crucial. The more people who understand these issues, the greater the collective pressure for change and greater accountability from financial institutions. Conclusion. In wrapping up today's episode of Heart of Care, I want to emphasize that this conversation isn't just about the minutiae of financial transactions or banking regulations. At its core, it's about something far more fundamental. It's about your freedom. It's about your privacy. It's about your inherent dignity as an individual who has worked hard for what you have. And ultimately, it's about who truly has the final say over what you choose to do with your own money. You earned it. You worked for it. And you should be free to use it, invest it, save it, or spend it as you see fit, without unwarranted intrusion or arbitrary restrictions. But right now, the system is actively testing that very freedom. One intrusive question, one blocked transaction, one frozen account at a time. It's a quiet erosion of our financial autonomy, happening in plain sight. Thank you for joining me on Heart of Care, Episode 8, We Own Your Money.
This episode was proudly hosted by Laura and produced by AMCU Media. We encourage you to follow our podcast, share this episode with those who need to hear it, and, most importantly, stay financially aware. Your vigilance is essential to safeguarding your financial future. Thank you for listening. I'm John, your co-host. Until next time. Thanks for tuning in to this episode from AMCU Media, where real stories, healthcare, and advocacy come together. We release a new episode on the 28th of every month. We're a small, independent team doing our best to bring you meaningful conversations. And your support means the world to us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and Facebook page. Just search for AMCU Media. Got a story or topic to share? Email us at amcu@strmedical.com.au. Together, we can do better. For care, for community, and for change. Until next time, thank you. And take care.